Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're celebrating a massive, absolutely legendary milestone, the 85th anniversary of an animation duo that practically invented the modern animated chase. We're talking about characters that crossed decades, evolved through vastly different artistic eras, and somehow accidentally became a worldwide educational phenomenon. So, let's explore the incredible 85-year cat and mouse chase of Tom and Jerry. So, do you remember Jasper and Jinx? No? Well, you're definitely not alone. It might actually shatter a few childhood memories. But when creators William Hanna and Joseph Barbera first debuted this battling pair way back on February 10th, 1940, in the MGM short Puss Gets the Boot, they weren't Tom and Jerry at all. The cat was officially named Jasper, and while the mouse was totally unnamed on screen, all the pre-production materials called him Jinx. The dynamic was completely there right from the start. The relentless pursuit, the clever mouse outsmarting the cat, but the iconic names we know and love today were missing. Right, so how exactly do we get from Jasper and Jinx to Tom and Jerry? Well, after the massive success of that first short, the producers at MGM knew they needed a full series, and they definitely needed catchier names. So they held an in-house contest. An animator named John Carr actually won the grand prize of $50, which, by the way, is over $1,000 in today's money. His winning submission was inspired by a popular holiday drink called Tom and Jerry, which is this festive mix of eggnog, brandy, and rum. And just like that, in 1941's The Midnight Snack, the legendary branding was officially born.
Moving into Section 1, the Golden Era.
That genius rebranding officially kicked off what basically every animation historian considers the absolute peak of theatrical animation. Under the brilliant guidance of Hanna-Barbera and composer Scott Bradley, these shorts were the undisputed gold standard. I mean, we aren't just talking about your standard slapstick here. This was violent, high-speed physical comedy, crashing right into meticulous, highbrow orchestral brilliance. Just look at these staggering achievements. During this golden era, they pulled in 13 Oscar nominations and secured 7 Academy Award wins. Even today, fans on IMDb point to this era as the absolute pinnacle. They love to name-drop shorts like The Cat Concerto, which is still the highest-rated episode on IMDb. In it, Tom is this tuxedo-clad piano soloist attempting to flawlessly perform Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2, all while battling a sleeping Jerry who is literally resting inside the piano. It's high art blending seamlessly with hilarious violence. We also saw them break major boundaries, with Jerry famously performing a dance number alongside Hollywood legend Gene Kelly in the 1945 film Anchors Away. And you know, there's actually some surprising thematic depth hitting in these early shorts too. Take this brilliant quote from the highly rated 1948 short, The Truce Hurts. Spike the Bulldog literally asks why they're all constantly fighting, and he actually manages to get Tom and Jerry to sign a peace treaty. They spend the short protecting each other. But, I mean, it's Tom and Jerry, right? So the whole truce is inevitably ripped up and completely forgotten the very second they have to decide how to split a juicy steak. But honestly, every once in a while, the affection between them was 100% genuine. Think back to The Night Before Christmas, released in 1941, just before the U.S. entered World War II. Tom locks Jerry outside in a massive snowstorm, but he can't sleep. The heavenly choirs in the background totally prick his conscience, so he ventures out to find Jerry frozen solid like a little popsicle. Tom rescues him, warms him by the fire, and in return, Jerry uses a candy cane to safely spring a mousetrap he had hidden in Tom's milk bowl. Instead of a violent snap, the trap slowly lowers and plays jingle bells. It's just a beautiful moment of goodwill, showing they aren't truly enemies to the death. All right, let's jump into Section 2, Evolving Eras and Directors. So in 1957, MGM actually closed its animation studio, which ended Hanna-Barbera's legendary original run. But of course, the studio wasn't quite done with the cat and mouse. They handed the characters off to new directors, sparking some totally fascinating and honestly pretty polarizing stylistic changes. After the original era ended in '58, the rights were acquired by Rembrandt Films, and animator Gene Deitch took over from 1961 to 1962, animating the shorts over in Eastern Europe. Then, from '63 to '67, Chuck Jones, super famous for his Looney Tunes work, stepped in, bringing his own incredibly distinct visual flair, new character designs, and a completely different kind of comedic timing. Now, what's really fascinating is how modern audiences look back at these shifts. In a recent Reddit thread where millennials were geeking out over their favorite eras, the Gene Deitch era got some very specific love precisely because of how weird it was. Fans described it as clunky and strange, pointing out that the Czechoslovakian animation style gave the whole thing a really eerie vibe. Viewers noticed that Tom was often just flat out brutalized, the humans were seemingly insane, and Jerry was portrayed as almost over the top evil. It's this surreal, bizarre chapter of animation history that really left a massive imprint on kids growing up watching the reruns.
And following those theatrical runs, the duo proved they were practically invincible by successfully transitioning to television. Hanna-Barbera even came back in the 70s for Saturday morning TV. From there, it's just a wild ride of adaptations. We got baby versions in the 1990s with Tom and Jerry Kids, early 2000s series like Tom and Jerry Tales, and all the way up to a hybrid live-action and animated movie set in Manhattan in 2021. They just kept adapting, keeping that chase alive and fresh for entirely new generations.
Which brings us to Section 3, a surprising global legacy.
And this is probably the most unexpected twist of our explainer today. Because when you think of Tom and Jerry, you're picturing anvils falling on heads and frying pans to the face, right? You definitely aren't thinking about global linguistics. Yet, a cartoon that is almost entirely silent has somehow transformed into a massive worldwide educational tool. Seriously, consider this number: 318. Right now, on the educational platform ISL Collective alone, there are exactly 318 different English as a Second Language, or ESL, video lessons built entirely around Tom and Jerry episodes. Educators from all over the globe are using this 85-year-old cartoon as a cornerstone for language instruction. It works so perfectly because the shorts are heavily visual with minimal dialogue, offering a distraction-free canvas to teach grammar. Teachers will use an episode like Ghost Jerry to have students unscramble sentences. These the hospital episodes to teach the present continuous tense, or holiday specials to teach possessive pronouns. The highly exaggerated reactions of the characters make it incredibly easy to teach emotion and food vocabulary without even needing a shared native language to explain the context first. And on those rare occasions when there is dialogue, international educators leverage it for a highly effective method known as the shadowing technique. For instance, in popular YouTube ESL lessons, instructors will pull a rare scene, maybe the owner scolding Tom for being too old to catch mice, or introducing that incredibly fast new cat named Lightning. The students listen to the clip, and then the teacher breaks down the really subtle pronunciations, like how the G in lightning is often totally dropped in casual speech, or how words naturally blend together. The students then repeat the phrase exactly to master the rhythm and pronunciation of native English. But even beyond grammar, it's the sheer narrative clarity of their physical comedy that makes them such a great teaching tool. Because their actions are so expressive, students can practice writing narrative structures purely by observing. Take a modern story example from our sources. Tom orders a fancy branded watch he saw on TV. Jerry spots it, likes it, and tries to snatch it while Tom is sleeping. A crazy chase ensues, the watch breaks right in half, and both of them just sit there staring sadly at the pieces. A student can watch that perfectly clear visual sequence and write an entire essay on the events, practicing their narrative pacing without getting bogged down by complicated script translations. So the absolutely crucial point here is this: a cat and a mouse who barely speak have actually become a universal language of both comedy and education. Think about the beautiful irony of that for just a second. For 85 years, they have famously communicated almost exclusively through frying pans, mousetraps, and cartoon bombs. Yet today, these silent brawlers are literally being used to teach the entire world how to communicate with one another using words. It's just an incredible legacy for a duo originally named Jasper and Jinx. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. Which era of this iconic cat and mouse chase do you actually belong to? Are you a purist for the orchestral golden era? Do you love the strange, clunky vibes of the 60s shorts? Or did you grow up with the 90s kids version? Whatever your favorite is, I highly recommend going back and rewatching a few of them today. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into 85 years of Tom and Jerry.